Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 13 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with Chris Rindov, a professional soccer player for Sporting Kansas City in the Major League Soccer. From walking on to the Maryland University men's soccer program, to earning a starting position and being named team captain, to then turning professional, Chris' story is incredibly inspiring, and I found this episode to be absolutely engaging and insightful. I hope you enjoy it as well. Chris, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you getting me on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm really happy we were able to find some time to go from walking on at Maryland University to starting to then captain and then turning pro is quite an inspiring story, and I'm super excited to learn more about it today. Let's start with an introduction. Tell us your full name, where you're from, and an interesting fact about you.
Yeah, my full name is Christopher Rindov. I'm from Rockville, Maryland. And one interesting fact about me is that I can solve a Rubik's Cube in around 20 seconds.
Wow, that's quite impressive. I saw that when I was doing research on this episode. How did you get involved with the Rubik's cubes?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, really started around 8, 9 years old. My parents, when they were growing up, they kind of were in the age when the Rubik's Cube came out. I think once I kind of got old enough to understand it, they bought me one for my birthday. And then I kind of got obsessed from it there, learned from it, and honestly started solving all different ones, different shapes, different sizes, and kind of had a pretty big obsession for a couple of years there. And then it's just kind of been something that I've always done on the side a little bit, helps calm me down. It's just something that I enjoy.
Nice. That's quite incredible. Speaking of your family, tell us a little bit about their background and where they come from.
Yeah, so my entire family, I was the first one born in America. They're all from Bulgaria. They were from Sofia, Bulgaria. My mom and dad met there. They grew up honestly around each other at high school and started dating, and then got married there. I have one older sister. She was also born there. And then they ended up moving to the States in '98, moving to Maryland because they had some family there. And then yeah, and then I was born in 2001 here, but first one in the family to be born in America, so it's a blessing.
Nice. Yeah. Similar story with my family too. And one of my sisters was born here. Like my dad nicknamed her citizen because she was automatically a citizen since she was born here.
Yeah.
But when did you start playing soccer and who got you involved with it?
Yeah, the first like real memories I have of starting soccer, I think it's my dad will tell me it's earlier, but I really have the memories around 4 or 5 years old. I think the biggest thing that kind of propelled me into it was I remember watching the 2006 World Cup final with him. I mean, I was right around 5 years old at the time, and then kind of after that is when I just kind of started to go out and formally join like one of the a rec team at 5, 6, just playing a little bit. So that's kind of where it got started at that early, and it was pretty much my dad who kind of showed me the soccer and kind of introduced to me. I mean, when he was a kid playing back in Bulgaria, I mean, he played with his friends in the streets and just in high school and all that. So he always had an interest in the sport. So he was the one that kind of showed it to me. And honestly, being an immigrant, there, that's one of the really only sports that he knew. That and basketball, he's not really too familiar with American football or baseball, so he had no interest in those ones. And but yeah, it was that's how I got started for me.
Nice. Yeah. It's similar story too. When I first came here, it was just soccer. That's all the other kids that were coming from different countries like myself were playing. And that's what I just picked up as well. I guess for you, right, despite winning 4 state championships and going to the national championships twice and being named amongst the best 11 in that tournament, you were largely overlooked by D1 soccer coaches. Why do you think that is? And do you think not having played for a development academy in the MLS played a role in that?
Yeah, I think honestly, the club team I played for, OBGC, Only Boys and Girls Club. I don't want to say it's like a smaller club in Maryland, but there's definitely a couple other main names in Maryland that kind of get more of the looks, and they typically consistently have very good teams. You've got the Baltimore Celtics, Bethesda's, and all that. Those are the ones that I'd say get most of the looks, just because historically they typically have very good teams every year.
Hmm.
With my team, it was like we were pretty much the odd ones out between the age group, whereas where we were the best team in honestly in Maryland and in the Eastern region pretty much, and then obviously competing in nationals around the country. Um, but yeah, I definitely think going into one of the MLS academies. I mean, at the time it would have just been likely just a DC United academy. I'm sure that would have helped propel my career a little bit earlier. Just obviously because I'd be getting the looks directly from the teams and even other MLS teams when we would go to play them. But yeah, I think that's honestly one of the main reasons. Because for my team OVGC, the last team that was like very good, which has a couple pros and had a lot of D1 players, they were, I mean, 4 or 5 years older. And then the only really good team before that was another 4 or 5 years before them. So there was kind of a big gap. And I think that's really the big part where we were getting a couple looks here and there during games, but not as much as I'd say some of the other clubs around.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm happy that things were able to work out for you, and your talent didn't go waste. Did you think about playing for an academy while you were growing up?
Honestly, no. I mean, there was a little time period where OBGC and Bethesda had merged to make an academy, but even at that time, I think my club team was still pretty much better. In our club competitions, we were respectively better than the academy was in their competition. So I didn't see it as a step up essentially in terms of going to it. I also think it comes with the fact that I mean I didn't really know any better, and neither did my parents. They kind of just knew about like the club soccer around. They didn't know what's the best to go into.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think we had little thoughts here and there, but I think the whole way was just kind of to stay with club and see where we could take it from there.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Going to Maryland, you were initially planning to just play club soccer, but your youth club coach, encouraged you to try to walk on the Maryland varsity team. Talk to us about what that walk on process looked like for you.
Yeah, of course. No, I honestly, I love telling this story. It's one of the ones that kind of makes me like look back and be really grateful for. So my club coach, Pete Wood, I was with him since I was 9, 10 up until I was 17, 18. So I'd known him for 9, 10 years and he was the coach the whole time with me. So obviously developed the relationship and he always believed in me and knew I had the talent. Obviously at times he's the type of coach, he's from England. So he's hard on you. He doesn't tell you that, he thinks you're good, but he knows deep down that I had the talent. So when he knew that I was just going to go to Maryland and see if I could potentially go club soccer and then kind of see where I could go from there, he just thought during the summer, why not reach out to them, see what they can make happen. So what ended up happening is he emailed them and I emailed them right around the summer. It was mid June or early July. Um, so emailed them and I emailed the assistant coach and kind of had some back and forth, asked to send a little bit of film. So I sent over some game film from the club seasons. And then once they saw that, they thought, why not kind of, they had one of the summer camps coming up. So they said, why not just bring him out, see what he can do. So the first day I went to the summer camp, I kind of did the whole thing. It was an overnight. It was like a 3 or 4 day overnight camp. So you did kind of the whole day throughout with like all the campers and everything. And obviously at the time I was just a camper. But
Hmm.
even playing with just the kind of the campers, you could tell that there was a difference in level. Like I was considerably better than most of the guys there. Um, so I went through the day, did all that, and the way Maryland does it at their camps, at the evening they have like a pickup game between all of the varsity players, so that the campers can watch it and kind of enjoy, just relax to end the night. So they invited me into that game so they could see what I could do, and so the first night played that game. I mean, at the time there was, I think we played even full, maybe even 11-11, 11v11 or
Hmm.
tens, pretty much a full sided game. Um, and my club coach, he was telling me just go in there, be confident, play simple, kind of do what you do. Don't There's not need any need to overcomplicate it. You're At the end of the day, you're a center back. You don't need to be out there dribbling like it's the World Cup final for you. So I just went there, kind of played simple. So once that game was over, was talking, they said, okay, great. Well, you can come back tomorrow and play in the next day's evening game. So I did that, came back, played in the evening game, and kind of a little bit before the evening game, I was talking with Sash. He brought me in one of his golf carts, and we were just talking a little bit. And he was saying that he kind of liked what he saw from the previous day. He didn't know if they were going to be able to open up a roster spot because at that point, I mean, they had 28 players on the roster already, and they were going to have to ask the athletic director if they can even open one up to make a 29th spot. So I played that next day pickup game. I think I did well as well. Just kind of kept it calm and composed. Didn't really do too much again. And then they brought me back for the third day. And before that, pickup game, the assistant coach, he saw me just kind of waiting on the field, and he came over and told me that I had made the team. So that's kind of really how I got to it. I later figured out that, or I learned from hearing from some of the players and other guys that were on the team once I made the team, that kind of after the first or second pickup game, Sasha came into the locker room and asked what they thought about me, and they said, and he was asking them if they thought I'd deserve a chance, and kind of they were all like, yeah, might as well give him a chance. He's got good qualities. So yeah, that's how I made it, and it was a blessing.
Wow, that's incredible, man. I'm really happy to hear that for you, and then to go from there and then turning pro, it's unbelievable, right? And I'm just so happy that like that worked out for you. I guess going to that first season, right? You appeared in about half the games that are in the season, right? I think about 10 games, and they're typically like 20 games in a season, which is quite impressive for a freshman at a top program like Maryland. What was the adjustment to D1 soccer like?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, like anything, it was a big adjustment from just the club scene. I think the biggest thing, honestly, for me is like going into that freshman year, obviously knowing that I'm a walk on, and there's a lot of other, even there's, I mean, two or three starting center backs ahead, plus a few guys that are in reserve competing for the spots in the future years. Like I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but honestly, at the time, it was more like, I mean, I still couldn't kind of believe that I was even on the team. Like I was just kind of taking it day by day, just trying to improve it as I can, do little things here and there. I mean, obviously as a freshman, it's you got to pick up all the cones, do all the everything else, clean up the fields and all that. So just trying to do my little parts there. And I'm obviously fortunate enough to get into a few of the games. And honestly, just I mean, even things that Sash were telling me, and just even from my previous club coach was telling me, just kind of again, just keep it simple. There's no need to overcomplicate it. And kind of throughout preseason and into the first couple games, Sash was telling me that you know, with my qualities and kind of the air and my ability, just like jumping and kind of defending in that way, like he does see that I would have chances on the field in terms of getting either if we're up a goal or down a goal, and we need to kind of push for it. So my first game, which I ended up subbing into, was at UCLA, and we were down 3-2. Well, at the time it was 3-1. Right when I subbed in, we had ended up scoring a free kick. So it was 3-2, and essentially we moved to a 3-5-2, and we were kind of just pushing all men forward to try and um, get the game back. So it was more so honestly the games that I did go into. It was like, okay, just do what you can do, pass it to someone else who's got a little bit more ability at the time, and is able to kind of get it forward, and just if the ball comes your way, defend well, and if you get a chance, try and get your head on it and do what you do. But yeah, that first year was, I mean, it was just a lot of joy and kind of just getting used to it. Obviously, being kind of a local kid, it was fantastic because my parents were able to come out and go to every game, even the ones that I didn't play or did play. Like having them after the games, just talking to them, seeing them was, I mean, more than I can ask for, and I think it really helped with my confidence to kind of stay, you know, believing in myself and know that at some point my time will come as long as I keep going. So yeah, it was a quick adaptation to it just because from walking on in the summer and then kind of having to go straight into preseason was quick. But I think once the season got rolling, it was more just maintaining and keeping the level that I'm at, and then seeing what I can do once the spring season kind of hops in.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, the speed of play, the physicality can be a lot to adjust to, but I think it looks like you held your own, and kudos to you there. You continue to progress each season, right? And were amongst the starters your sophomore year before solidifying your position as a starter your junior and senior year. What were you doing over those years to continue to hone in on your craft and continue to improve?
Yeah, I think I mean as most of the guys on my team and even other like college friends that I had around that were playing. Really, that I knew that spring, my freshman year, was kind of going to be the big year for development. It's where they kind of want to see the biggest jump. Obviously, it's just
Hmm.
we only had a couple spring games. You're mainly practicing lifting weights and getting bigger. So unfortunately, that's kind of when COVID hit. So it was like our spring season got cut short. But on the flip side, for me, it was almost a little beneficial side to it because when everything kind of shut down, obviously I still had all my club teammates, and we were a couple of guys, we were all still playing in college. So once things started to open up a little bit more, we kind of all had the same kind of mindset of, this next year is going to be big for all of us, regardless if you're, I mean, if you're freshman, sophomore, or whatever, junior, like you're going to need to kind of work hard in this off season during COVID. So, I mean, we were out there most days, 5, 6 days of the week, just training on our own. A few of us doing technical drills, just kind of getting better, make sure to keep our fitness up. So yeah, during that COVID, I mean, it was obviously horrible times around the world and everywhere, but for us, it was almost an opportunity to just step away from all, even the kind of the academic side, because I mean, everyone was kind of scrambling. It wasn't, I don't want to say it was easier, but it definitely wasn't as hard as being in person, having to go from class to class. It's a bit easier on Zoom. So kind of being able to take that spring and almost just train solely with guys who kind of have that same mindset. And then going into the summer, just knowing that things are still uncertain if we're even going to have a fall season. So it's just more of kind of getting better, keeping fit, and all that. And then honestly, the biggest part for me was I'd say is that fall when our season got canceled. Me and one of my Maryland teammates, Isaac Gafu, he played for Celtic, and I'd played against him in my club years, and we were obviously teammates, roommates when we kind of went back on campus. So, I mean, we were pretty much just training and then going back to our class or like our dorm to do classes on Zoom. So anytime training would finish, I mean, we would be there hour and a half working on different things. So since I'm a center back and he was a left back, I mean, there was a lot of things that we could work on: short passing, kind of long passing for our touches, and then even one of the big things for him and my game, I say, is like crossing and finishing. So even working on just pinging the ball out, having it cross and then I head it. So it was really, both of us kind of had that goal of trying to push to get an opportunity in the spring season when our season started. And I think that just that extra work after when kind of everyone's going back and going back to change, get ready for the rest of their day and stuff, just really kind of helped us excel, because I mean there really was nothing else to do. I mean, there was no one on campus other than athletes, so it was just us training. And I think that's really where I think I took the biggest step in college to go into the role where in that sophomore spring, which was the season started, was when I was able to be prepared and ready for any opportunity that would come, and thankfully it came, and I was kind of able to stay on the field after that.
Nah, that's incredible, and it always helps have somebody that you can train with, and it's on the same schedule and on the same wavelength as you are. It's funny you mentioned the COVID year and how that impacted you, right? Because I had Abdi Salim here who went to Syracuse, and I had asked him a similar question. He mentioned that COVID year and him having to like work on like getting bigger and on his touches because there was nothing else going on, right? It was literally you might as well use this time to get better, and it looked like that was the case for you too. What was it like being coached by Saj, right? Like a legendary coach who's been Maryland for over 30 years. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like when I was in the process of walking on, I knew kind of how big of a coach and how kind of how historic he is, honestly, in the college soccer game. I mean, he's won everything there is to win. But I think what really helped me was kind of the style of coach that my youth coach was. He was, again, very kind of hard on you. Like, you got to always continue to improve. He doesn't let your ego flow over, and kind of he keeps you grounded and lets you know that, like, as good as you are, like it's not easy to kind of make it to the next level. So you got to keep working. And that's kind of the way that Sash had it with kind of all of us. He has high expectations. I mean, it's with being so long in the college game and doing so well. Like, he gets obviously the best players to come to Maryland, and they know before they even get there that it's, you got to work for it. I mean, nothing's going to be given here. And obviously, like, having that prior success, I think really helped us, because we just have that thought and belief that we've always got a chance to win. I mean, he's kind of one of those coaches that you're never really down and out until the game's over. So it was really beneficial for me, and just kind of being able to learn under him and see my game grow as he obviously saw me get better, and then just giving me the opportunity even to get on the field at some points. I think it really was crucial for me to keep the confidence and keep it going. And then, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, having the right coach can be super important, especially when you're still developing or you need certain things that you can work on, and having a coach that can both, challenge you, but also like nurture you and ensure that like you're not losing your confidence, right? So really happy that you were to have him and he played a big role in your development. After your senior year, right, you were drafted in MLS draft by um, Sporting Kansas City. What did that mean for you and your family to be able to sign that professional contract?
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. Obviously, I mean, the way that the MLS draft goes, it's not really guaranteed. It's only really the generation Adidas and a couple first rounds that sign that immediate contract. So I mean, when I got saw on the website and saw that I had gotten drafted, and then got the call from Peter, the head coach here at Sporting, he obviously said, like it's going to be a tough preseason. We're going to see what you can do, give you an opportunity, but nothing's going to be given. Um, but even that first moment to just get drafted was awesome. I mean, it was me and my family. We were all watching it, and it was a big moment. But kind of even right after that, once I knew we were going to preseason, it was like, okay, now it's time for next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Get ready, make sure you're fit, and make sure you go into preseason ready. And I think that's one of the big things as well. I mean, I think forgot to mention as well when I was kind of walking on to Maryland. Like one of the big things that I think really helps going into those preseasons is you come in extremely fit if you're prepped and ready, because even at Maryland, it's like when they come back in the summer, everyone's still got a few weeks to get fit before the preseason. So if you can kind of show that you're already past that and ready for it, it really helps your game. And I think that's one of the things that helped me here when I came for the preseason, and even the first few days, few weeks, just not being tired during the training sessions and being able to give my all really showed the kind of the player that I am, and the player that I can be. And one of the biggest things as well for my game, being a center back, I'm very vocal and I like to kind of lead from the back. So I mean, my even Sash was telling me, and kind of everyone, even the first few days, like Peter was telling me here, he's saying, we drafted you. We know that you're a guy who's vocal. Make sure that even though this is your first time here and these are pros, like don't be afraid. Like if you got to yell at a guy to do something, make sure you're yelling at him and doing all that. So I think after that first moment when he told me that, it was kind of like, okay, there's nothing to be afraid about. Like you got to just be yourself and be your person. And if you're good enough and ready enough, they'll take you. And then obviously kind of took the same things that I learned at Maryland, starting back over, you're a rookie, and even you're not even drafted. You got to do all the little things, do extra work after, do extra running, whatever you need to do to kind of get better and showcase that if they do take you, that it's going to be worth it and you're going to do the work. So after, I think it was about 2.5, 3 weeks, is when they started kind of talking to me, saying like kind of be ready, like we're most likely going to get you signed. And then it was right around 4 weeks after is when I signed the contract. And I mean, it was a dream come true for me and my family. Just obviously them coming over and kind of believing me. I mean, I don't think any game that was remotely close to for college for Maryland, they were there, if home or away. And then I mean, they were at every single club game. There was never a game they missed. So it was really a proud moment for me and for my family to be able to kind of showcase the success that I was able to get through kind of their, I guess, their belief and kind of
Hmm.
determination in me, and pushing me at that age. And I mean, it was a dream come true.
No, that's incredible, and to have to gone through what you've gone through, and then to be able to sign that professional contract, I can only imagine the feeling, and I'm really happy for you. Going back to your point about being a young center back, I can imagine that's a tricky dilemma, right? You're out here on your first couple of practice, and you have to yell at pros who've been doing this for years. Like it must be an intimidating process to have to like think through that, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's one of those things, honestly, like you try not to think about it and just do it. And if you get yelled back at, it is what it is. But um, yeah, I think it definitely really helped me when I just kind of just try to do what I do and kind of lead from wherever I'm at. I think it's one of those things that once a lot of the guys on the team saw like that was kind of who I am as a person and who I am as a player, they started to kind of respect a little bit and see like, okay, like now we can kind of take them more seriously, as opposed to being just pushed to the side and kind of let them kind of run over you. So yeah, I think it was definitely a weird couple first days, just trying to get used to it. But kind of once the nerves settled down, it was good.
Nice, yeah, and I'm sure a lot of the older guys can respect that, right? Because they understand the dynamics of this young player, and he has the balls to be able to yell at me. So, I'm really happy that worked out for you. I guess what was the adjustment like to the pro level, right? And compare that to the adjustment to the D1 level.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the best way I can kind of describe it is like even prior to getting drafted to Sporting KC, I went to the MLS showcase. So it was all pretty much all the top prospects that were looking to be drafted that year. So even going to that, like you still had very good players. I mean, a lot of them got drafted. A lot of them are now pros, even playing first team, second team. Um, so I'd say that's probably like the highest level I'd ever seen prior to that. but once you get into the pro game, I mean, it was the speed and with everything. It's obviously it's another not notch up, but it's almost like it was a real shock to see just how like there really is no one that stands out in a bad way. Like no one's here consistently messing up passes. No one's like you'll have your occasional mispass here and there, but it's not like, oh, this guy doesn't deserve to be here. Like everyone clearly deserves to be here. I feel like throughout college, even from other teams, it's just like, I mean, there's always a few guys who are like the main stars and who kind of carry the team. And there's a few that kind of just kind of get by and do what they can and kind of feed the key players. But here it's like, I mean, everyone has to be on it, otherwise you're not going to be on the team. And it was I'd say the biggest thing is honestly just how quick everything was. Even for some of the guys who were older, it was like they were once they were on the field, they never lost a step. It was almost like that they were back in their early 20s, just playing around, playing for fun. Like it was crazy to see. But again, it was one of those things that I really benefited from coming in relatively fit and able, so that I didn't have to worry about being tired and kind of having to go through the motions while also having to pick all these passes. And again, just keeping it simple, kind of even going back to how it was walking onto Maryland, just knowing that again, I need to do what they drafted me for, which is be vocal, be dominant defender, be dominant in the air, and pick the passes. And I mean, at moments, find the long ball here and there, showcase that you can do that, but at the right moments, not when it's unnecessary and forced. And then honestly, just kind of going throughout the season for it, it's just kind of the continued hard work and dedication to kind of getting better. Throughout preseason, there was little things here and there that they were telling me, like obviously we see you as a good player and have potential in the future, but you're gonna have to do this, this, and this, and kind of just taking their advice and going from there. And it's been really helpful, and I'm obviously looking very very forward to year two here and being able to kind of continue to practice and train to get better.
Nice. Yeah. As you alluded to, you're currently in the preseason of your second year. How's that going? And I guess what are some of your goals and aspirations for the season coming up?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome. We just kind of finished our first full week of preseason here, and I mean, it's been very good. Just kind of getting into the swing of things, being back with the guys has been awesome, and obviously, it's amazing opportunity. I'm blessed to have been able to for them to take my option and bring me back for the year. But I think it's again one of those things that now being as opposed to being a rookie, being in your second year, it's time to take kind of that bigger step as it was in Maryland. It's almost like I don't want to say make or break, but it's a pretty big year in terms of being prepared for whenever an opportunity comes. Because now, I mean, they've seen you for the whole year. They know who you are as a player, all the little things that you do. Um, for me, it's going to be obviously another year of development, listening to kind of what they have to say, and just improving technically and keeping the speed of play and doing all those little things that, I mean, they might seem like almost nothing in the games, doing an extra 2-3 yard sprint to create separation, making passes a little bit crisper and sharper. But yeah, I mean, goals for me, I'd say is, I mean, getting in obviously a few MLS games will be fantastic, playing in different cups and just being able to compete in the team and kind of showcase that, if they need me on the field, or if they see that I'm ready for the field, that when I get on there, I'm confident and I'm ready to go. And I know that the work that I've put in the previous months, years is going to pay off, and I'm going to be ready for the opportunity whenever it comes. So I'm excited for it. And yeah, excited for it is really the best way I can say it.
That's really dope. Yeah, and I'm excited for you. And be watching your journey and rooting for you. And yeah, when you come play the refs, I'll try to come out and watch that game. I guess transitioning away from soccer, what are some of your other hobbies and interests outside of soccer?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, as I mentioned at the beginning, I've obviously always enjoyed Rubik's cubes and doing kind of different things like that. I'm very big into. I've always been like as I got into college, I've been pretty consistently into reading, and then kind of going into the first year and then continuing to this year, I've been heavily into reading on different things, typically nonfiction, where it's just like learning about your body, learning about kind of little ways to improve here and there, mindset, staying confident, things to kind of improve, and just being kind of big in the improving your game kind of off the field sense. And if you have little things here and there, keeping your body in shape, keeping your fitness, getting proper recovery, and making sure that your body's prepared. Because it's, as much as it is a battle on the field and skill with the ball, it's there's a whole nother aspect to it mentally and even physically when you're off the field to be prepared and ready for it, whether it's just eating the proper food, proper hydration, even sleeping enough, doing all the little things here and there. So learning about that and kind of continuing to improve that for myself and allow me to benefit from the stuff reading off the field that'll help me on the field and just stay sharp. So I'd say those are probably the biggest things. I mean, I'm also kind of into video games here and there, but not too much anymore. It's not too much time. So
That makes sense. Yeah, and to your point, I think as you go up the ranks, right, as the level increases, like the mental aspect of the game becomes that more important, right? Because the physical attributes aren't that big. They're not that different, right? When you're in youth club or college, there can be guys that are fast or stronger, but the professional level, I'm sure people are very similar, and so like the mental aspect of like dealing with the pressure and like and managing that aspect of it becomes super important. So I'm happy to hear that you're looking for ways to improve that. So on top of going professional and signing with Kansas City, supporting Kansas, you were also graduating as a mechanical engineer, right? With the MLS draft happening in the winter, right, which was a semester before you were supposed to graduate. Did you graduate early? And if you weren't playing professional soccer, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
yeah, so thankfully I was able to graduate early, kind of throughout the whole. Honestly, I don't think technically I ever really took a summer or winter off. Like I was always doing one or two courses during that time to make sure that I was able to finish early, and then the off chance that there was a possibility to be drafted, something at Maryland that they kind of look to, even from when you're a freshman, that they look at, okay, if we can excel you so that you're ready if it comes the moment that when you're a senior and you need to get drafted, you'll be kind of finished. So yeah, I was lucky enough to be able to come into college with a few credits already finished. So I was also pretty much a semester ahead, and I was able to do all the ones in the summer and the winter to excel that. So I did end up graduating with the degree in mechanical engineering. And honestly, if I wasn't a professional right now, I'm sure I probably would have gotten to one of those internships in the summers over my sophomore, junior, senior year, and into one of the mechanical engineering companies and kind of go from there. I think there's, at least for that point, I definitely, because the main reason I went to Maryland originally before kind of trying to walk on was for the mechanical engineering program. I've always been kind of more on that side of science and math in terms of kind of things that to me they make sense. You know, there's formulas, there's equations that you do this, and you get the answer, and there's no kind of question marks to it. And just kind of designing and building things have always been something that I've enjoyed and find kind of pleasure in. So I think right out of college, I'd probably just join into some sort of engineering firm. And in the future, I would have likely just hoped to try and potentially build my own business or something that has to do with kind of building something and kind of designing it in that aspect. But yeah, I'd probably just be working some 9 to 5, hoping that I can kind of save up enough, start my own business, and be able to be my own boss.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, assume everything goes to plan, right? And you have a like 10-year career, right? Because you can't play soccer forever. Do you see yourself potentially like starting your own business after soccer?
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, I think that's one of the things that I've always thought about in terms of getting that degree and having it. I wouldn't want it to go to waste. Not that it would, but if I didn't, but I do find that being something that I would like to do potentially just even during the career at some point if am able to find right partners and stuff like that and kind of get it started even while I'm in the business in the professional scene. But definitely after it, I'd be very interested to do something in that just to kind of stay hands on and um, be able to use what I learned and do something that I enjoy on the side. So yeah, I think that'd be something that in the future I'd love to do because I mean, as you say, it's not a, you can't play it forever. It's at some point you're gonna have to stop. I mean, whether 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I mean, at some point you're still gonna have to make some money on the side or get some income, and it's never gonna be forever. So I could definitely see myself, doing something in the engineering aspect just because of how much I enjoyed and how much it makes sense to me personally in terms of learning it and getting that degree.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Man of many talents. That's really dope. As you look back over your career, What would you say has been the highlight so far?
There's probably a couple. I mean, I think if I had to name a few, I'd probably name I'd probably say the first state championship in my club career was one of the big ones. I mean, it's something that obviously as a kid you want to get that state championship and be able to do it kind of so early on in the club career in terms of doing it my freshman year of high school. That was awesome. Um, I think the next one obviously is making it to Maryland, walking on. I mean, I remember just as I was saying before, like for next 3, 4, 5 months after I got signed, even throughout my whole freshman year, it was just like you walk into the locker room and I'm looking at all the stuff on the wall, like I'm like in awe of all the stuff that I'm seeing there. It's another highlight. And then finishing out my college career with Maryland, winning the Big Ten championship was obviously something that we were unable to do the first 3 years while I was there, and it's one of the things that I think really allowed me to kind of be more so at peace with my college career to be able to finish that because being at a program like Maryland, you never want to go 4 years without having anything, and I think being able to get that was a very big highlight for me. And then finally would be just getting drafted to Sporting KC, being able to sign, and then being able to even get a couple minutes in an MLS game and then some minutes in the Open Cup. I mean, it's a dream to play professionally. So it's probably the four big highlights that I have from my soccer career so far. Hoping to make a few more. So definitely got to stay tuned to that.
Yeah, you're just getting started, so I'm sure there's many more highlights to come. On the flip side, what would you say has been the low light of your soccer journey so far?
Low light. I'd say honestly, kind of going back into my club career, I think there's probably one or two that I can think of. But the main one is I had like a little injury the summer. So we had just won the second state championship, and we were training for regionals, and I had ended up getting injured at that point, and I was out for a few weeks. So I ended up missing regionals. We were losing, so it was one of those that just kind of it was a strange injury because it was something that happened outside of soccer. I was in gym class just trying to for whatever reason I was trying to dunk a basketball, and it was weird because on the it was an injury that happened. It almost happened on the way up. It was like as I was jumping, like once I got in the air, I was like something didn't feel right. So it wasn't so much of the landing. Luckily, it was nothing too bad. I was only out for a couple weeks, and then I was able to kind of get um, the recovery and the physical treatment. But I'd say that's probably one of the lowlights from that story. Honestly, I think it was kind of a blessing in disguise because going to physical treatment, the guy that I went to, he was very thorough, and it wasn't so much of a okay, let's just get you in here, do your rehab on your leg, your knee, and get you out of here. He kind of looked at my whole body, did like the body mechanics, and saw that there was other areas that I kind of needed to improve on and to kind of just be the best person or as I could be. And I think that really helped me kind of have a good foundation to go in throughout the rest of high school and kind of even through the pros, just being proper proper technique, proper form during different lifts and stuff like that, and even just like walking more properly and having better postures and stuff like that. So I think as much as it was a low, it was almost something that really helped me in the long run. And I think like another one in my career is honestly probably throughout this first year. I mean, there was points where it's like, okay, am I not doing enough? Just kind of the mental side of it, almost of the game, where it's like, you're giving it your all here and there every day in day out, but it's like, am I really not doing enough? Is it you know is it me or is it other guys that I still got to catch up to? You start to play that mental game and just kind of losing that little bit of confidence. I think just having those spikes, I would probably say, is so far where it's like one of the, I don't want to say worst moments, but kind of moments where we have to remember that it's not always going to be easy, and it's not always going to be a smooth sailing road. Like there are going to be ups and downs, and it's going to be points when you kind of have to battle those little failures where you kind of make mistakes in game, even do little things like this in practice. But yeah, I'd say those are probably the two for me.
That makes sense. And I guess on the aspect, right, of like not trying to like for me, I struggle a lot with confidence in college, right? And, like especially that first year, right, where I went from like captain the team, one of the best players on the team, right, to then now a rookie freshman, and you make a mistake, the older guys are gonna let you know about it, right? And I was never used to that, right? And so that like impacted my confidence, and like I started doubting myself, and like that kept feeding on itself, and it made it worse. I guess for you, what are you doing to ensure that it doesn't become this vicious cycle that just kind of keeps getting worse? Like what are you doing to like kind of take a step back and realize that, hey, like this happens to everybody, and like I need to get out of it to like perform my best, because you can't play well without the confidence that you need.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing for me would be just because of how much of the like extra little things that I do, extra work after training and just proper recovery and treatment even when I'm home. I think it's one of those things that I was never questioning what I was doing if it was wrong or if I was needed to change something. It was more so that, it's almost like just seeing past stories of even other pros and just seeing different things online, even like little motivational things here and there, hearing different podcasts, different stories, just how it there is going to be points where it's going to be bad, and kind of never really altering what you're doing to kind of adapt to the confidence issues, just kind of knowing that, okay, you're still working on this every day, you're doing this, and it is helping you. And even if right now, in the practices or in the games, you're really struggling, it's not that you're not doing enough or you're not doing the right things. It's almost just like kind of a natural cycle. Whereas to get better, you're going to have to get worse, or to do well, you're going to have to fail, and you're going to have to kind of get set back and see where you can go. And it's honestly one of those things that for me, it was like doing all the extra work and still kind of not doing well for a few weeks. It was almost like, okay, let me take a step back, see, even watch some more game film, look at practice film, ask the coaches if there's any other drills and this kind of stuff. I think one of the big things that helped me was playing. So I had quite a few minutes with the second team this past year, um, and the coaches of the second team, Benny and Ike, they were former pros. Benny was a midfielder, and then Ike he was a center back. So and he was a very good center back in MLS. Played for Sporting and played for a number of years. Stopped his career because he had a pretty big injury towards the end of it. But just kind of talking with him and seeing how he dealt with it throughout his career, and what he had to do to kind of get out of those slumps, and just kind of being able to talk with former pros who are not so much like your head coach, almost like they're guys who you can kind of talk to on a more professional level in terms of on the field stuff, and even talking with other guys, other teammates, from the first team who have experience, who have been in the league. Like, I mean, talking with Roger Espinoza, Graham Zuzi, and different guys, just seeing if what would they recommend and how they kind of dealt with the adversities throughout their career. I think it really helped me kind of take a step back. And it's another thing that I think really helped me was just remembering what I've gone through in the past and how it was never a straight line. I mean, as much as it was had those opportunities, it was, you make the Maryland team. Okay, now you're a rookie. You still have to work and do all that. Just knowing that you've already kind of battled through those moments in the past and overcame from it, and you saw what's on the other side, and just remembering that it's never going to be bad forever. It's going to, at some point, as long as you keep going at it and don't quit, you're going to pass the point of lacking that confidence and kind of having those errors. And then once you pass that, you're going to look back on it and say, like, wow, I really did need that. I needed to kind of be tested to see where I'm at, and help me push to the next level. And I think I'd hope to have a smooth road up and just continue to get better, and eventually become starter and keep playing like this. But I mean, I know that that's not a reality that's likely to happen, just because, I mean, there's so many different things out of your control that that can affect whether you play or not. So it's one of those things, just remembering and kind of being grateful for what you have, and just working hard every day, that really kind of pushed me through that.
Yeah, no, very important stuff you mentioned there, right? Like about looking at your past experiences and learning from those, and like being able to apply those to your new environment, right? And then having the right people around you to like get their perspective and their advice. And then to your point earlier, right, about putting in the work and not seeing the results, it's goes back to the idea of like trusting the process, because you might be putting in the work, but you might not see the results immediately, and it's fine. You just have to keep putting in the work and trust that the process will work out. And it looks like you're doing that right now, so I'm really happy to hear that. As we wrap up this podcast, any final advice for young soccer players or people generally looking to improve their lives and become more successful in whatever they're doing?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest thing that I can kind of give them biggest advice, is just, you really just got to keep working hard. You can't measure your success based on looking at other people. You kind of have to measure it against yourself. There's no point in looking at what this guy did at this age or what you're not doing at this age. I think it's one of those things nowadays with social media and how kind of available everyone's lives are to see. It's hard to even kind of sometimes take a step back and say, like, I don't know what he went through to get to that point. He doesn't know what I got through. Just remembering that everyone's got their own jersey or journey to where they are in life, and there's nothing's going to be given. It's always going to be, you got to work hard. I think one of the big things. I mean, I recently read a book. It's called Pound the Stone. One of the big quotes that kind of stuck with me was, it was talking about I think it was like a stonemason or something like that, where it's, you know, he's pounding at a stone 100 times and nothing happens. You don't see a crack or anything, but then it's the 101st hit is when it breaks the stone. So it's like, even if you don't see any progress coming through so far, it's really about just keeping going, and eventually the hard work will pay off, even if it doesn't in your immediate future, or even in that specific career. Just having that mindset of always working hard, it'll always push you past people, and get you to the best version of yourself.
Absolutely incredible advice there, and really relevant for this environment, especially with social media, right? Like everybody's gonna put out their best highlights, and so you can't really compare that to your life because you don't know everything else that's going on with them. And just staying focused on yourself and improving from day to day, it's probably the right way to approach it. We're gonna transition to the next segment of the podcast now, where I ask all my guests these rapid questions, right? So for the first question, best player you ever played with?
Played with, it's probably going to be one of my current sporting teammates. I'll give you two or three. On the attacking side, it's definitely got to be Alan Polito and Johnny Russell. Those two. I mean, having to defend them is tough enough in training. But I'd say those two, and then even from the defensive side, just, I mean, I've had a blessing to be practicing along. I mean, Andrea Fontas. I mean, last year with Graham Zusi. I mean, those guys are absolute legends. And then, as I mentioned before, Roger Espinoza. I mean, these are guys that have had fantastic careers, and even towards the back end of it, where I'm seeing them at, it was insane to watch it and see just how good of players they were, and still are.
That's dope. On the flip side, best player you ever played against?
This is a tough one, honestly, because I feel like I haven't played against too many pros yet, just because I mean, I just haven't really gotten to the games yet. Honestly, it'd probably have to be one of my teammates again, just even in training, just going to kind of against them and not really being able to. I'd say one of the hardest guys on the team and to kind of get the ball off is he's our sixth, Nemanja Radoja. I mean, it's you pass him the ball, he's not going to lose it. So it's tough enough to defend against. So yeah, I'd probably say him.
Messi or Ronaldo?
I hate to answer this one. I am, and growing up, I was a big Man United fan. So obviously, I have a huge liking for Ronaldo, and just kind of what he is as a person. But I mean, it's hard to say anything other than Messi is kind of being the greatest of all time. He's just the things that he does on the pitch. It just continues to baffle me when you watch him play, and kind of how he's still going at 36. And I mean, hopefully I'll get an opportunity to see him, if not play against him. So
That's coming up soon.
yeah, it's April, so hopefully.
No, that's something to look forward to. That's really nice. Yeah, and I have to agree there. I grew up a Ronaldo fan, and for the longest time, I try to convince myself and my sibling that like Ronaldo is better, and I think just part of maturing is realizing that, or like admitting that Messi is better, because yeah, to your point, the things that guy can do, incredible. That's not to discredit what Ronaldo does or has achieved, right? Like,
For
I
sure.
just think natural talent, and the impact you can have outside of scoring goals. I think he's definitely up there. Last question for you: start one, bench one, and sell one. Sergio Ramos, Thiago Silva, and Virgin van Dijk.
This is a tough one. This is a tough one because I mean, those are obviously three best of the best center backs all time. I'm honestly going back and forth on it in my head. I think for me personally, just kind of growing up and kind of watching him, I'd have to start Sergio Ramos, kind of just to kind of the center back that he was, and he even still is at the tail end of his career. And I think I'd probably have to bench Van Dyke just because of I think his peak prior to his injury were just some of the best defending. I mean, you could even ask for it. I mean, he's a 6'4" monster. It's one of those guys that he's once in a generation type of defender to come through. That's just has incredible kind of physical attributes and defensive sides. But it's tough to even to have to sell Thiago Silva. Just on the flip side with him, I mean, kind of how he got into the game, and I mean, even watching him now when he's at Chelsea at his age, like he's still just so calm and collected. I think I don't think you could go wrong with however you answer it, but for me, that's how it'd have to be.
No, that's fair. And for me, as a Liverpool fan, I'll start Van Dijk, but I can definitely see and understand your point with Sergio Ramos, especially given the longevity aspect of it, right? I think Van Dijk, with with the recent injury, he had that season where he struggled a little bit, but I think he's getting back to his best now. I really enjoyed this conversation. Really inspiring story, and you dropped some valuable gems here for our young viewers or just casual fans to kind of learn from and hopefully be entertained. For those looking to follow your journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, I think all my stuff on social media is just Chris Rindov. I mean, I think on Instagram it has got an underscore, but you'll be able to see it when you look it up. So it'll all be on there.
Nice. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come talk to me. And yeah, good luck with the rest of the season.
Yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to even following your journey on the podcast and then see what it can become. So I'm very grateful to be on it.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.